18. I call this meeting to order and ask the clerk to please again call the roll.
Trustee Kammerer,
Here.
Carbonaro,
Here.
Daney,
Yes, here.
Brenya,
Here.
Hopkins,
Here.
Ranky,
Here.
President Wallace.
Here. First item on our agenda this evening for the Committee of the Whole is under Building and Zoning Committee. Chairman Hopkins.
Thank you, President Wallace. There is 3 items on the agenda tonight. The first one is the Southwind Subdivision. The petitioner is requesting a preliminary and a final plat of subdivision for a 5-lot commercial industrial subdivision consisting of approximately 20 acres located at the southeast corner of Route 25 and West Bartlett Road. With that, I will turn it over to Ms. Roberta Grill.
Thank you, Trustee Hopkins. As you stated, it's a 5-lot subdivision with 20 acres, creating 5 lots ranging in size from 3 acres to over 6.5 acres. Currently, the Bluff City office building is located on Lot 1, and the village staff is working with potential developers for Lot 4, Circle K, and Lot 2, the Parkland Preparatory Academy. There are 2 existing curb cuts along Route 25, Southwind Boulevard and Benchmark Lane, and 1 existing curb cut off of West Bartlett Road, Southwind Boulevard. A new curb cut is proposed along West Bartlett Road, west of Southwind Boulevard, as part of the Circle K development that would provide a through connection south to Benchmark Lane. And currently, there are no new access points proposed along Route 25. The current plan shows a 15-foot wide bike path easement, which will be recorded as part of the subdivision plat, and the bike path will be installed either as part of the Circle K development or by the owner of the property on or before December of 2019. And the petitioner is here tonight if you have any additional questions.
Thank you. Is there any questions from the committee?
Yes, I have a question. Can you pull the aerial up again, please?
Sure.
All right, I can't really see that real well, but if you go to the east of the site, we have the SR4 PUD in that area. And then you go a little farther east, it's a PD, and it looks like, from the aerial that I have here, it looks like it's water retention.
It is.
Right. Sure, in retrospect, I was there when we approved the SR4 PUD, but now with that being earmarked, the site being earmarked for commercial industrial, so to speak, didn't make a lot of sense to stick that development between water retention and the industrial. We should have just kept it all.
The owner requested the subdivision for our review, so the owner requested the subdivision for our review.
Okay.
The Lot 2, this lot here,
Yeah.
is proposed for a school, a private school.
All right. But no other residential will be up in that area, correct? Just that one strip that we have?
That's correct.
Yeah.
So the point of this redevelopment of this site is mainly because development wants to come in for the Circle K and the school that you just mentioned. So that's why it's before us.
And it's never been subdivided, that is correct.
Thank you, Roberta.
Any other questions? So we'll forward this on to the Plan Commission for further review?
Yes.
All right, thank you. The next item we have is the Express Car Wash that is located at 1255 West Lake Street. It's approximately 800 feet east of Naperville Road. This was at the Plan Commission at the October 11th meeting, and they did mention a few things at their meeting, so I don't know if you could possibly go over that for us.
Yes, you'll recall this was for a site plan and a special use for a car wash. And at the Plan Commission meeting, there were some discussions regarding the car wash exit and those vehicles waiting to exit the site onto Lake Street. And as a result of that meeting, the petitioner has actually shifted their curb cut on Lake Street a little further east, which has provided easier navigation, internal navigation on the site, and has allowed for additional stacking at the exit of the car wash on the north end of the site, which is exactly what the Plan Commission wanted to see. In addition, landscaping was an issue that came up, and originally they had proposed, in accordance with our landscape ordinance, to provide a fence with landscaping along the south property line. However, there is currently a fence put in by the residential developer, and the Plan Commission and some of the residents were a little hesitant about having back-to-back fences. So the petitioner has revised their plans and provided a different alternative, which meets our code, and they are providing berming with landscaping, and staff is fine with that.
Is there any other questions from the committee?
How much further east is the curb cut?
I think the petitioner could answer that question. And and I will say it has not been approved by IDOT at this time.
Okay.
Good evening to the board. My name is Alan Jacob. I'm the attorney for the petitioners. To answer that question, I believe it's about 80 feet to the east from the intersection. And it's wider as well, so it allows stacking, not just on exit, but upon entry as well, to get cars off the roadway if that's necessary. It creates an internal sort of three-way stop or three-way intersection where vehicles exiting from the wash have a stop sign allowing traffic to move into the site off the main street. There is no cross traffic, right? Internally, there is no cross traffic. So it flows, you come in, you flow around the car wash into the tunnel and out, and then you can loop back around into the vacuuming area and then back out the same manner.
How many cars could you basically stack in there?
Exiting the wash?
Exiting or at the entry and exit?
Now that you brought it up, both.
Both?
So exiting the wash 4, and then how many stack?
Stacking.
49 vehicles stacked.
49.
And we spec'd all the vehicles to be, in the drawings themselves, they're spec'd out at 19 feet, and the average vehicle length is 15 to 16 on a compact car, and SUVs 17. But the actual drawings and stacking show 19-foot vehicles.
I'm assuming that you own other car wash
Yes.
facilities?
Doing this for a very long
How
time.
many cars do you think would flow through here in a typical day?
The pro forma is speculating an average of 40 vehicles per hour.
There's the stacking.
And those vehicles in that diagram are at 19 feet.
19 feet.
19 feet.
Do you guys feel pretty confident in the buffer you have between the entrance of your car wash and the homeowners that are to the south?
Yeah, so actually the two homeowners that are directly behind the facility, two major concerns. One was making sure that we put up enough landscaping to hide maybe the traffic lights coming in after hours that may shed a glare onto their vehicles as they come around the stacking. So we made sure that we put a good screening in multiple different places to avoid that glare. In fact, we even moved the initial employee parking spaces away from the back of the lot and put them more toward the RV center. And the other concern was the noise. So we provided a metrics based on a noise pollution study we perform on a lot of our washes. And the question was, what would be the decibel level of the resident directly behind us? And the decibel level would be 18, which is equivalent to a pin drop at a height of 1 centimeter at a distance of 1 meter. So basically, wind would be louder.
Did you guys reach out to the residents that?
Yes, we did. In fact, the owners of the property knocked on not only the development of the back, spoke to the development, the people running the development, but also approached the owners as well.
I personally appreciate you guys reaching out to the residents that live over there, so.
In fact, we also approached the RV center and the church next door.
Thank you.
Welcome.
All the questions I have. Any other questions?
Are you going to ask that your attendant on duty make sure that cars don't start backing up onto Lake Street? And I ask that because I'm very familiar with that intersection, and it gets very congested, as you well know. And it's very dangerous. I mean, I see at least one accident at that intersection. So the traffic is either going 60 to 80 miles an hour, or it's all backed up because somebody just got into a car wreck. And I don't think any one of us wants to see a long line, especially if you're giving away free car washes when you first open, and see that back up on the Lake Street.
So our intention is to, although it's an express wash, the business model itself will afford for on-site kind of guidance to traffic. So the site management will include making sure people have their radios off when they're outside vacuuming their vehicles, making sure their lights are off if they're inside the vacuum areas, making sure that that intersection that we created internally will now have somebody managing in the event that there is some crazy amount of flow influx. I mean, if it was just after a snowfall and it snowed for 3 weeks and this was the first break and everybody flooded in, we'd make sure that there was some on-site management to make sure that that would be managed.
Thank you.
That's all we have. We'll forward this on to the village board for a final vote.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much.
The third item is the Bucky's gas station, which I spoke with President Wallace, and I'm going to recuse myself from.
Yeah, we have two trustees with a recusal and discussion for Bucky's Gas Station, and I requested that trustee Gabrenya chair the discussion.
I can do that. This item has to do with Bucky's Gas Station, Buchanan Energy. It is the annexation and rezoning upon annexation on 59, on Route 59 across from Norwood Lane. And I will defer, please, to Roberta for specific details.
Thank you. The petitioner is requesting to annex 2 vacant parcels consisting of just over 2 acres and to rezone the subject property from the ER1 zoning district to the B3 neighborhood shopping zoning district. They are also requesting a preliminary site plan review for a proposed 7,000 square foot convenience store to accompany an automotive service station with 10 gas pumps or 20 fueling stations. And a 2,300 square foot car wash is also proposed along the southern portion of the property. The proposed convenience store would be oriented towards Route 59 and would consist primarily of brick on all 4 elevations, with metal canopies added for architectural elements over each of the windows. The average height of the building would be about 21 feet 4 inches, and the car wash height would be about 18 feet, both of which meet our zoning ordinance requirement of 25. And the car wash would architecturally match the convenience store. The petitioner has requested 1 curb cut along Route 59. Let me back up here. For access to the automotive service station, which would be located directly across from Norwood Lane. The village has approached the petitioner regarding the installation and associated costs of a proposed traffic signal at this location. The village staff discussed with the petitioner a 75%, 25% split of the costs, with the petitioner paying the 75% share. And discussions still continue between staff and the petitioner at this time. It's been Bartlett's policy when reviewing commercial site plans adjacent to one another that the number of curb cuts be minimized and a cross-access easement be utilized between adjoining properties. This preliminary site plan as proposed does not include a cross-access easement. The site plan does, however, identify 60 parking stalls, which exceeds our zoning ordinance requirement of 39, and they have provided the required 15 stacking spaces for the car wash. They are also proposing to install 2 8-foot-high retaining walls along with an 8-foot-high vinyl stone fence along the western property line. And as you can see on this cross-section, the subject property is approximately 19 feet lower than the residential properties located to the west. They are also requesting a plat of consolidation, which would combine the 2 lots into 1 zoning lot. And they are requesting 6 variations. One from the required 50-foot front yard for the canopy, another for the reducing the required 20-foot side yard for the car wash, reducing the 20-foot landscape interior parkway along 59, a reduction from the required 10-foot setback for the monument sign on 59, eliminating the required foundation area landscaping along the west elevation of the convenience store, which is in the back, and reducing the number of trees within the perimeter landscape requirement along 59 from 9 to 5. Special use permits are being requested to allow for an automobile service station and a car wash. They've designed the car wash to have the drier portion of the tunnel wash furthest away from the residential uses to the west. The vacuum area is proposed north of the car wash building. And with the retaining walls and the proposed 8-foot-high fence along the west side of the subject property, this should serve as a sound barrier to minimize any noise emitted from the car wash and the vacuums. Internal vehicular circulation for the car wash would primarily consist of a counterclockwise pattern with all vehicles queuing behind the convenience store and entering the car wash along the west side of the building. Vehicles would then travel through the tunnel wash and exit the building from the east side. They are also requesting a special use permit to allow outdoor sales and storage, which would include propane and some seasonal items. They are requesting an additional special use permit for packaged liquor sales, including beer, wine, and liquor, and this would be the first service gas station permitted to sell packaged liquor in the village. Stormwater would be located underground below the southern parking lot between the convenience store and the car wash. The petitioner has hired a traffic consultant. They've prepared a traffic report that has stated that a traffic signal is warranted at the intersection of 59 and Norwood Lane, and the village's traffic consultant, Gaywald Hamilton, has concurred with this statement. And finally, the petition is in conformance with the village's future land use plan, which identifies this area for commercial uses. Petitioner is here, Richard McMahon, on behalf of Buchanan Energy, if you have any additional questions.
Roberta, I think you've answered this, but in the text of this, but I just want to be certain we're clear on this. An automobile service station is just a gas station, is that right?
Typically,
They're not going
in
to be
this
working
case,
on
yes.
cars? I mean, is it going to have stalls where you bring in, you know, trucks or vehicles to work on, or not?
No, this is just for a gas station as a special use.
Okay, because service station implies kind of service, so, yeah, it's just gas, all right.
Correct.
Recently I visited a very similar gas station, so to speak, with convenience store in Rockford. We had to go out there and look at that property, and they did a very excellent job with the pumping stations and the convenience store. What I am having a problem with, or I have concerns with, it's the split on the cost for the traffic light. How are the negotiations going on that? Right now, we're at 75-25. If we had to do something, I'd like to see it more like 90-10, or have them pick up 100% of it, you know? Why should the village have to pay for this? We love to have them come into the village, but by the same token, you know, I just really have a problem with this, and I know we need a traffic light there. I'd be all in favor of seeing a traffic light at that location, but if we can negotiate that 75-25 split, you know, I'm not satisfied with that.
Okay, we will pass that along.
Any
Other than
additional,
that,
any additional discussion?
I look
I would
forward.
just point out with two trustees recusing themselves, and approval of the annexation agreement or annexation requires 5 votes. So we'll need everybody here
Okay.
when this comes up for a vote.
It's a very good point.
And I would just ask that the minutes reflect that I also abstained.
Oh, I'm sorry. Trustee Ranky had sent me an email advising that he was going to abstain on this
I
matter.
should have pointed that out clearly.
Sorry.
And other than that, I'd like to see the comments from the ZBA and the Plan Commission.
That was my question as well. It seems like a lot of variations. You guys don't have concerns with, I mean, like 11-foot, as you go down, 11-foot of the 50-foot is 20% that we're reducing that. And it just keeps going down. It just seems like they want to expand to the outer reaches. And if we have these ordinances, or we have these things that we are requesting and now they're asking to change them all, is that normal?
We have granted, and in most instances, it's for canopies for a gas station encroaching in the setback. So we have granted this before.
Good to know.
All right. Any additional discussion?
Nope.
I think we would then recommend we would send it on to
ZBA.
ZBA.
Thank the petitioners for being here. See you. All right, that's it for building and zoning. Thank you, Chairman Hopkins and Chairman Gabrenia for stepping in there. Next item on our committee of the whole meeting this evening is under License and Ordinance Committee, Chairman Kammerer.
Thank you, Mr. President. Tonight we have a review of the strategic plan update. And with that, I would like to turn that over to staff and let them give us the update.
Last February, the village board desired to create a new strategic plan, and the new plan included input from a series of focus group meetings facilitated by the Center of Governmental Studies at NIU. And I think we had 12 meetings and gathered a great deal of input from the community, and that input was then combined with your discussions about your vision for the community, and we put that together and set some goals around those two events. The goals were then categorized into short-term, 1 to 3 years, and long-term, 3 to 5 years, and then broken down again into routine and complex, and the board then prioritized those goals. We are not quite 1 year into that plan, but we wanted to provide an update on our progress so far, and Scott will walk you through that. One of the things that I want to get your input on is how you would like to proceed with the planning. This is a new plan and a new structure, and I would like your input on how you would like to formulate future plans and how you'd like to proceed. My feeling is that I would like another year into this plan before we start fiddling with the goals and tweaking. I think when what you've seen in the update and what Scott will walk through, we've made a lot of good progress, but I don't think it is a complete, and nor should it be, because we haven't hit those timeframes yet. So I would like a little more time before we do that next round of strategic planning, but that is just my opinion, and I'd like to hear how you would like to do that. So Scott, let me turn it over to you for the review.
Thank you, Paula. Thank you, Mr. President and Village Board. I will try to take you through this document quickly and efficiently. If you have any questions for myself or any of the other staff here, feel free to stop me, or you can ask questions at the end. The first goal that was outlined under short-term routine is enhancing public awareness via an education campaign to increase the awareness of village services, activities, and funding. I think it's pretty clear to see that some of our traditional uses, such as the Bartlett and our websites, still get a lot of play. People still enjoy having that paper document, and we continue to use that as a cornerstone of our communications. And in addition to that, we've really enhanced our social media with the use of Facebook and Twitter. And one of the great things about our utilization of the social media is reporting instances in real time. It's been really popular for traffic reroutes or accidents. I think our police department has reunited a lot of pets with their owners, which is a nice feature of our Facebook. Bartlett Hills has utilized it. They've introduced their specials in the grill room. They've pushed out their multi-tiered wedding package, and they continue to use social media for online bookings. In addition to the growth of social media, some of our instant information will continue to be an area for the village to grow. However, the mainstays, our transparency page is still a big part of our village website. It's nice for this day and age of FOIAs. We're able to just direct people to our transparency page, which is a big success. And it's also important to note that our transparency page is rated in the 98th percentile of other communities. We won a Sunshine Award from the Illinois Policy Institute, so our transparency page is very thorough and very complete. Special programs like our Citizens Police Academy and our Teen Police Academy, and the first year of our Bartlett High School STEM Academy has really given residents, and especially young residents, the opportunity to go behind the scenes and really see what we do day to day as village employees. And I think it's helped create a special bond with some of our residents. The village also had a very aggressive educational campaign using all sources of our media when it came to the 1% home rule sales tax and our water rates, which have been, with the infrastructure going in for the water, has been a real important topic. And we've used all those forms of media to push out that information to our residents. The number 2 goal is develop a multi-level cascading public information campaign on Lake Michigan water. And I think it's safe to say, I feel as though as a staff member that there's probably not one resident left that doesn't know that we're going to Lake Michigan water. We have designed a Bartlett drinking water webpage that serves as the hub of communications for all things Lake Michigan water. At the top of that webpage, you'll really see 5 categories that highlight the timeline of all the things that need to be completed. One is the DuPage Water Commission 30-inch transmission main, the Lake Street pump station upgrade, the modification to fill ground storage tanks, the Bartlett transition mains, Stearns Road and Villa Olivia, the Lake Michigan Water Receiving Station and Reservoir, and the DuPage Water Commission metering station. Those 6 tasks are outlined on the page, and throughout the last year or so, since the board finalized an agreement to join the DuPage Water Commission, we've used every source of media that we have, frequent articles in the Bartlett, frequent updates on Facebook, and all those sources of media have thrown people back to our main water drinking page. So we use all the outlets that we have to kind of focus people back on that page. Updates are done weekly. There's countless pictures. There's information about the water rates as well as the groundbreakings that we've had. And we've also utilized e-blasts for all the meetings that we've had. I think this board's had about 10 public meetings for distributing information on the water agreement. Moving on to number 3, enhancing community events. The village staff worked with the Bartlett Fire Department and the Ignite the Courage on a new event. This was the second year of their event, but it was expanded, so it was different in nature. and we worked with them on that. Our museum has had quite a bit of success in some of our community events. They distributed 700 passport booklets this year, and our Bartlett outreach for the passport program was second to only Cantigny, which was and turned out to be a very successful program. From February 2018 through October 31st of this year, the Depot Museum saw over 1,100 visitors. And the great thing about those visitors is they're also coming into the downtown. It's feet in the street. Pam was saying a lot of the families that will come to the Depot Museum will head over to Toot Toots or even the little shops on Oak. So it helps, it's a small driver for the economy. In addition to that, we've had every school has come out to the History Museum. So that's a nice feature as well of the museum. Staff has worked with BAPS and our friends at the Jane to work on the logistics of two of the largest religious celebrations in the region and to ensure that it's safe and successful. The NNO celebrations, National Night Out, continue to be a huge success, not just in the downtown, but throughout the community. Our golf course event, our skate park event, the swim after dark event, the block parties, which are always very popular, continue to be really successful. And the village continues to maintain and enhance the logistics of our traditional events, the 4th of July parade, the Global Arts Fair, the Veterans Day Festival, the event that we not only manage, but we run, the Memorial Day event. Our staff has that event down by the minute. Public Works, Police, it's well organized, and we continue to try to enhance the safety and fun of those events for our residents. And also, one of the things that we've done per Paula's direction is create additional signage throughout the community. When people talk about parking, we've put out 6 sandwich boards that highlight the fact that we have over 700 free parking spots in the weekend. And after 6 p.m. during the week, those spots are free, and we've continued to push that for when we do have events throughout the community. Under short-term complex, our next topic is developing a strategy focused on attracting and incentivizing a grocery store. We've certainly taken more proactive measures in recent times to attract an additional grocery store. We've had several meetings with the brokers of several grocery stores, one in particular that we've really focused on and created a relationship with. We met with that broker both at the Chicago show and the national show. We continue to engage with these brokers. A lot of the engagement has been a result of some of the new measures that we've taken, such as the broker blast, where we're able to reach every Chicagoland broker. We have a database of over 200 right now, and when we have an opportunity, we're able to blast out some of our locations with the click of a button. As well as our vacancy database. We use it both internally and externally. So we continue to use those as strategies to try to attract grocers, but really mainly they're brokers who are the ones that do the site selection. And a big part of that is the gentleman that you saw, the developer that we're working with for Bartlett Plaza. I think that if we're able to be successful with that redevelopment, I think that will really act as a conduit to attracting further potential grocers to the community. Moving on, develop a recruitment strategy to attract developers to invest in the downtown and provide options for businesses to relocate and locate. The village board examined the possibility of creating an incentive program, and that will even be discussed further on in this document. One of the great features of this program is it not only is an incentive for businesses to move, but what it does is it creates a second phone call or second meeting. So when we go to a trade show or we have a phone call with a potential business, we can highlight this program. So it generates, not just us giving out our business cards, but vice versa. So that's been a real successful when it comes to creating more of a buzz within what we have to offer in our toolbox for economic development. And a big part of this is our TOD plan. The board has taken advantage of this TOD plan. We had some incentives that we were able to use for Balanced Family Chiropractor, which is next door, and it's a brand-new, beautiful building, and really our first new building from the ground up to highlight our TOD program. The village uses our Discover Bartlett page. We've grown to over 5,000 followers, which for a community this size is pretty significant. One thing that we've really enjoyed doing is our Bartlett Business Spotlights. We're up to 5 businesses that we've highlighted, and we've done video on for marketing purposes. And one nice thing about that is not just the video that reaches the community, but it also gives us an opportunity to do a site visit and talk to those businesses about what's going on with them and how are they doing and if they need anything. So it kind of forces the engagement as well as providing a video advertisement for that business. Some other features of the TOD plan, the complete streets policy, the speed limit lowered to 25 miles per hour, our Site E development that we are working on pursuing multifamily with. The potential purchase of the Lucky Jack site would also be a cornerstone of the TOD development as well. Additionally, staff has begun working with consultants and put together a steering committee to formulate a new Bartlett zoning overlay district. This process was paid out of an RTA grant that the village received for $25,000. That particular steering committee is still in its infancy, but I think you'll see a lot of good things that will help aid that TOD program moving forward. The next goal is undertake a comprehensive review of building permit and development process. I think everybody knows that the process for development has been a lot quicker in this village the last couple of years. In terms of site plan review, the community development staff will continue to expedite site plan and development projects that meet the tenets of all the village ordinances. The board approved a site plan text amendment allowing developers to go directly to building permit review if it doesn't require special variance, special use, or rezoning. And the community development department has done a good job of making sure the developers know that. Staff has evaluated work assignments and flow in the community development department and reassigned the GIS coordinator back to assistant planner. The assistant planner will focus on permits that had previously been done by code enforcement. This allows code enforcement to focus on enforcement, home occupation inspections, and complaint response. This improved the efficiency of both minor planning, such as residential variation requests, response times, code enforcement, and sign permits. The remaining GIS staff has been moved to the supervision of the IT coordinator. Our IDC continues to move a lot of these goals along. They've analyzed the building permit process and discovered ways to streamline the building permit reporting to the township and counties by eliminating all paper copies and sending the information generated by a crystal report via email. The building department process review also resulted in the unnecessary printing of 9,000 pages of reducing the number of permit copies printed. In the last 12 to 18 months, the village board routinely skips an unnecessary second committee meeting if everybody's in agreement. So that has helped really cut down on some time, sometimes 2 weeks or up to a month, which I think is very good for this village and business friendly. Over the last year and going forward, the building department has streamlined the permit process by going electronic. Approximately 95% of the permits are now sent with one click. I think Brian's department, you'll see lines get shorter and phone calls return quicker. So that's been a big undertaking by the building department and has created a good environment down there for them. The permits have been revised and the verbiages have been reduced to make the process easier. And it's increased efficiency and those wait times that I talked about. The next thing on Brian's plate to help further along that process is reviewing the next international set of codes for 2018 and adopting them next year. During this time, a fee analysis will be conducted and changes in the fee schedule and local amendments will be taken to the board for review. The next goal is the complete necessary infrastructure requirements for Lake Michigan water. The Public Works Department has been busy completing all the necessary infrastructure that you've seen at your dais over the last year. Yeah, did you want to give the latest updates for number 7? Sure.
Well, we're at a point where I believe tomorrow they should be completing the 30-inch main at Bittersweet. They actually they have it down Bittersweet, and they're just making the turn to head west towards the receiving station and the metering station, so that's a big day. Hopefully we'll get that done tomorrow. It's been pretty congested down by us because you got equipment all over the place, and our guys are trying to get in and out, but hopefully after this week, things will get calmed down, and we'll be able to keep going. The receiving station continues. They've been pouring the walls for the receiving station. Hopefully we'll be wrapping that portion up. The metering station excavation will get started once benchmarks, pipelines are in place. They can get in there. Benchmark will then, once they're done with the pipeline there, next week the plan is to start heading west on the north side of Stearns Road, west of Bittersweet. And this week, the contractor for the 12-inch water main over at Bill Olivia got started. So we got a lot of stuff going on.
Dan, what's your biggest concern as far as timing?
The weather.
The weather. It's going to be cold, right?
It's gonna,
Ground starts
October
freezing.
wasn't a great month for weather-wise. November's not starting out that much better. So whenever we get these rainy and then it goes to cold, that's why we're trying to push to get the concrete work done as quick as possible, try to get the building up. So once they have that, they got inside work and they can.
So what's the pipeline going along Stearns? Does it go all the way to past Centennial?
Yes, it's a 24-inch that will run all the way to South Bartlett. And then under South Bartlett, they'll auger a 16-inch. And it'll be a 16-inch all across the entire park property, all the way almost to Kent Circle.
Are we working with Centennial for traffic patterns and stuff? I'm assuming we're going to have to do that again.
Yeah, they won't have any it'll be similar to what we had coming from County Farm. It'll be the one-lane type thing. We have been talking to the contractor when they get near the school during that morning and afternoon rush that we're really going to have to kind of move things out of the way. The problem is when the equipment's there and they're digging, it's hard to do that because you got a hole. So there's not a whole lot they can do. But as far as trying to get trucks in during that time, we told them.
We're going to work on a plan, though.
Pause, right.
Okay. Thank you.
Moving on to goal number 8 is maintaining fiscal position and budget stability. In developing the 2017-18 fiscal year budget, the village board deferred hiring personnel and spending where possible while striving to maintain existing levels of service to meet the current and projected demands of the community at the lowest possible cost. This year was kind of an odd year with the 2 largest infrastructure projects in the history of Bartlett going on at the same time. So what you'll see, this is a 15% increase in expenditures, with the majority obviously being attributed to capital expenditures. Total revenues increased by 19%, but that was due to loans that we anticipate receiving to fund the aforementioned water capital improvements. Property taxes for the general fund are budgeted to be the same as the prior year. And this will be the 9th year the general corporate levy will be flat or reduced. I don't think many taxing bodies can really say that. The village received its 23rd consecutive GFOA award. Even with all those expenditures that we had and keeping the property levy flat, the board also gave relief to the taxpayers by cutting the utility tax and implementing a 1% home rule sales tax to reach a broader base of revenue that is not solely in the backs of the residents. The village board discussed and approved the third part of a planned incremental increase in the water rates. I think it would be important to mention that prior to that, for 5 consecutive years, the water rates did not go up in this community. The tuition reimbursement policy was reviewed and changed to a central account. It has more structure now, and it also helps Paul and Janelle add more predictability to that line item. So that was cleaned up pretty nicely for our tuition reimbursement. It's hard to believe, but something as small as changing the budget to primarily an online document has saved the village $14,000, and it saved Lorna a bunch of headaches, which was nice. The village board eliminated the costly and hazardous brush pickup program by adding it to the waste hauler contract, which did not go up. It actually went down by a lot of money for our residents. As you know, we just had our discussion recently about our health insurance, and Human Resources and Administration facilitated an RFP for several interviews for our health insurance brokers. Once their broker was chosen, per the board's direction, the staff worked with the broker and formulated a savings plan that would save the taxpayer dollars and still have a good plan for our employees. The prediction on the cost savings is approximately $205,000, $19,000, or 6.5 to 10% of last year's expenditures. So this is a big savings for the village. The village staff continues to pursue grants via its lobbyists, its memberships, internal and external agencies. Additional revenue was generated by reviewing various fees and changes to the parking permit structure. In addition to that, the village is going to be improving its collection of outstanding fees by engaging with the iDrop program. And this has prompted staff to take an in-depth look at the changes in our local adjudication program, which will also help improve the efficiency of that program. The next is develop a strategy to attract and locate a hotel motel in the village. And as you recall, we're just beginning year 2 with our agreement with SVN Realty on that location. We have gotten hotel developers to the table. So that decision made by the board has helped facilitate some of those conversations. Although right now for that intersection, we are looking at other possibilities.
Scott, in an effort to expedite things a little bit, do you think maybe because we got about 15 other points, I think, to
Sure.
go through everything, think we could maybe just hit the high point of each section?
I'd be happy to go through it
And
quicker.
then we don't have to read it all, because I think we're all capable of
Absolutely,
reading.
absolutely. Develop strategies for the development of Railroad Avenue, Site E, Lucky Jack's tear down, a new owner at the Bartlett Tap. We also had a great meeting with somebody recently that's looking at the Amare building. So those are all near the Railroad Avenue. So I think you'll see a lot of increase in, a lot more feet in the street on Railroad Avenue. Develop a community branding plan. We're done work with 9 other communities on expanding our global brand for Access O'Hare West. We've used that relationship to leverage meetings with brokers at our trade shows, and it helps Bartlett be on the map on more of a regional level. Work to improve the retail business profile in the village. You'll see a lot of the vacancies at Westgate have been filled. The addition of Amita Healthcare, 65,000 square feet has been filled. The corridor on Route 59 with some of our senior living and our Home Depot outlots. The business park continues to drive a lot of our economy in the village. Our DuPage side is about 75% or so built out, and we also have somebody who's pursuing Cook County as well. The Southwind Business Park and the Blue Heron parcels were approved as a TIF in 2009, and a lot of these profiles and strategies to improve the retail business profile has resulted in a rapid decline of the vacancy rate from 17.5 to 7.1 in just a year and a half. So the vacancy rate has gone down by 10%. Revisit and refine our overall economic development incentives. The board adopted a new budget line item for $150,000, otherwise known as the BETA. It's a brand-new program, but it's been effective so far in attracting the village's first Indian restaurant, potential redevelopment of Bartlett Plaza, and that money is earmarked from video gaming. Maintain our enhanced village standards for service delivery. The board had an extremely productive year in 2017, approving 161 ordinances, the most it has in 14 years. Hasn't really slowed down in 2018. We've passed approximately 118 through October. The past 12 to 24 months, the organizational structure has seen many changes. Human resources and administration has shifted. Human resources and economic development, have shifted into administration. The site plan review process is done a lot more quickly now. A combination of CD, building, public works, fire, sit in one meeting. It's a one-stop shop for developers.
Well, and let me interrupt you right there, because I think there's just a tremendous amount of information here, and I love the fact that we've done a lot of work on the strategic plan. I know that we put in a lot of time back in February and kind of changed courses on you. And unless anybody has an objection, my suggestion would be perhaps we kind of fast forward and go talk a little bit more about Paula's point, was what do we need to do next? Because I've reviewed this, it's a tremendous amount of information. I think it's fantastic. But maybe we need to talk about like the next step in the strategic plan. I like when you said, well, maybe not every year, maybe every other year. I think that makes a lot of sense. At the same time, I think a workshop, or maybe this is a little touchy-feely, but it's kind of starting to get late at night. So maybe we have a sort of a board sort of workshop in that February, March area, team building type of exercise, but that's just my 2 cents, and now I'll shut up.
I think that's a great idea, Trustee Rankin, and great job compiling all this. This is a lot of information. It just shows that there's been a lot of work accomplished in the two-year plan that we took on, or I think we outlined it, so short-term and long-term, more immediate concerns. I would be in favor of something like that, like not necessarily a strategic planning, but more of what we're going through right now, and then just maybe updating each other on it, getting more familiar and more behind all of these projects. I think that'd be a great idea, sometime February or March.
Okay. And without getting too long-winded, let me also say, Scott, I think you've done a fantastic job on the Village Facebook page. You're the go-to guy. You keep a level head, you deal with an awful lot, and I want to thank you, and I hope that'll be in the minutes too, because Scott has done a tremendous job of being Johnny on the spot with all that Facebook stuff. And
Getting out ahead of false information. So.
Right.
But
right.
always respectful.
Always
respectful. Beyond reproach, and that is absolutely admirable, so thank you for that.
Good. Is that all you have?
That's all I have. Thank you, Scott, for going over that. I do appreciate it. I didn't want to cut you too short.
With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Trustee Daney, seconded by Trustee Ranky. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Camera?
Yes.
Carbonaro?
Yes.
Daney?
Yes.
Cabrera?
Yes.
Hopkins? Thank you.
Yes.
We are adjourned.